And Sean, your honorable mentions.
All right, so Jesse Lanza made one of my favorite little niche, interesting albums of all the time. Like you have Lickin' Heaven and Face, which I listened to so much. The album was produced by Jeremy from Junior Boys, which I am still waiting for Junior Boys release. Please, God, project it in my veins. I need it.
It'll come randomly in like 2033.
It will happen one day, but she made a fantastic album. I just couldn't fit it into anywhere in here was the only issue, but I've listened to it a lot. I know Bam has as well. Shout out Bam. After that, you got Earth by EOB, also known as Ed O'Brien. So he is one of the members of Radiohead, and Tom and Johnny have had their plethora of solo albums. Philip Selway had his own solo albums, but this is Ed's first thing, and it shows you of how good of a songwriter Ed is. And there's a lot of good stuff in here. Like the song Brazil is beautiful. It's long, like about 8.5 minutes long, but there's like 2 parts into the song, and like the second part turns into this gorgeous dance mix with Afrobeat drums, beautiful bass line and stuff, and it shows what he can do by himself as an artist, and it's fantastic. And last but not least is Yunzi, one of my personal favorite artists of all time. He is the frontman of Seguros, and his first proper solo release in about a decade, and there's so much experimentation and stuff in this album that I enjoy because it is now getting me into a genre that I normally do not like and have not listened to and paid attention to as much as I now will, into that glitch pop era style stuff like Sophie style of electronic music, which I have not, hyper pop and stuff I haven't listened to at all, but now it makes it into this context. I'm like, wow, I can actually understand it now, and I see, and this is a beautiful album. There's just issue, again, there is so many other works and stuff out more complete where this is almost purely experimental in no regard, but definitely deserves a shout out. Yonzi is an amazing artist.
Dictator Dan, honorable mentions as we round out. Heaven or Hell by Don Toliver. I think Don Toliver rides that line between like of the trap and the best and worst of it, as repetitive as it gets, auto-tuney as it gets, but also having some real depth and thought to the production of the albums. Heaven or Hell, I think, went through really nicely. It could have been like one of those things that just missed the nominations for the award, but for any like awards, but was really close to getting it. It just had a really cohesive structure to the instrumentation of the album. Kind of Travis Scott-ish world where it's a little bit playing with psychedelic aspects of the music, but it is really nice. And I was playing the hell out of Had Enough, Can't Feel My Legs, After Party, Cardigan, Spaceship with Sheck West even grew on me a little bit, but I didn't love that much. But again, it was one of those songs or albums I really liked in the before times of 2020 that I thought was going to like lead me into 2020, and then the whole season changed.
Yes.
Anime, Trauma, and Divorce by Open Mike Eagle. We were able to mention this very briefly on an episode, but we didn't have time to properly review it. I think as an album, there could have been like some more focus there to make it like a really cool thing. But there's just some really nice grooves on here where Open Mike Eagle has almost like this Questlove roots kind of way of putting together a lot of interesting sounds and making it jazzy and groovy and a lo-fi, almost you're at a coffee shop when they're performing live kind of way. It's a really like lo-fi chill beat in that way, but it's really pretty. And there's a lot of passion and emotion packed into these lyrics, as you would expect from Open Mike Eagle. So it's a really good thing that I liked overall from this year, that I came back to, mainly Death Parade, but I came back to it a lot. From Dark to Light by NLE Choppa, it was one of those things where I was coming in ready to tear down your asshole.
And it was actually pretty decent, yeah.
NLE Choppa's going through his like woo-woo like growing plants, being a vegan phase right now, and more power to him, I guess. But From Dark to Light was a very like shockingly, surprisingly interesting.
Yeah, actually good album.
Yeah. He's got bars, which I was very surprised by. He's got kind of a flow to himself. It's very fun.
Production was pretty good too.
Doesn't take himself too seriously as well, which you find not enough of in trap music.
Seriously.
Production great as well. And then lastly, Shoot for the Moon, Aim for the Stars by Pop Smoke. We kind of mentioned it for earlier awards, but I think Pop Smoke would have been the artist of the year, like the memeable artist of this year. He could have had like a Gucci Mane track, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was killed in early February, way too soon. Every verse that he did on another song posthumously sounded like it was just taken from this album. He had such that sound to it.
Good.
And it sucks because now I've heard it so much, like the raspiness, the kind of really quick, like hi-hat sort of hits with the drums and that kind of thing. I knew he had more to him. I could tell he definitely had more to him, but we only have this sort of imagining of Pop Smoke sound to really go with, and that's really a shame. But I think Pop Smoke really would have had a lot to offer from that cohort. And yeah, we have a lot of that cohort of SoundCloud rappers at that time who were just like biting the dust. And hopefully we are out of the woods with most of that as those are kind of growing up and we're getting some new people there. But um, that was a year of music that they all provided for us. And it was great. It was